This video will attempt to identify some of the reasons why you may have trouble scanning barcode labels. So if your barcode scanner doesn't work, this tutorial might help. Of course, the point of this is to help you scan into the standard time program, which is our manufacturing software, and scanning into this scan barcodes page. I'm going to mostly be working in a word processor here with this outline, troubleshooting labels, and then troubleshooting scanners. So let's jump right into these topics, starting with the first one, asterisks at beginning and end. So here's an example of a label that won't scan because it does not have asterisks at the beginning and end. So down here you can see a good label. The code 39 barcode font normally requires asterisks at the beginning and end, and this is for the hardware scanner, not for standard time. Some scanners will scan these, others will not, but just to be on the safe side, put the asterisks at the beginning and end. It'll look like this, and it should scan just fine. So now jumping down to the second one, if you happen to have a space in the middle of your barcode label, this will not scan because that large space is undetected by the scanner itself. And so if you need a space, you can use the equals character as you see here. This is the clear text. This is what the actual label would look like. So this one won't scan and this one will. The third reason that barcode labels may not scan is that they may be too long. So you may have to shorten your label, or if you really do need all that text, you could use a QR code. Of course, you will need a QR code scanner instead of a 1D scanner, but reducing the font doesn't always help either. So making it small will just make it unreadable as well. And number 4, if you try to put labels on the same line horizontally, so I've got 3 labels here, they sometimes will not scan. First of all, the scanner doesn't know which one you're pointing at, even if you center it on this one or that one. So you really pretty much have to put these on one line on their own and no other barcode labels on that same line. Some labels will not scan if they're too short. Barcode scanners sometimes require at least 3 characters. This one has 1, it won't scan, so you'll have to make sure that you have enough characters in the label itself, or the scanner sometimes just will not scan it. Sometimes scanners will not, in fact most scanners will not scan certain characters. So here's an example of an unscannable character in each of these. We've got underscores, we've got parentheses. The code 39 font which I'm using here is ID Automation, and it simply does not include certain characters, so you have to limit yourself to alpha and numeric, and then a few special characters like dashes. So here's an example of one that will scan. If your font is too small, we talked about before, trying to jam too much text into a barcode label, it normally will not scan. I had good luck scanning 6-point, sometimes 5-point, but 4-point would not scan. Of course, they all look jammed together here on the screen, but when you print them out, high resolution laser printer, they will sometimes scan, but you pretty much should try to limit yourself to 10, 11, 12-point fonts. And again here, if you try to mix fonts or mix font sizes, here we've got a case where we've got 11-point and then 20-point, 11-point and 8-point. If you mix these, the barcode scanner cannot distinguish those. That sometimes happens when you copy and paste from another label. So here's a case where we've got 1 font and 1 font size. So those are the 8 that I've identified here in this first section of a troubleshooting labels. Hopefully that may help you. Now let's jump into scanners. This is not quite as easy to troubleshoot, but I've got a few things listed. First of all, do you see the red line or light? The red line are for the 1D scanners. The light would be for a QR code scanner. If you see those, then you at least know that the scanner has gotten power. If you have a wireless scanner, make sure that it's plugged in and the little button is plugged into the USB port, and make sure that you have the correct receiver. Those receivers look the same as keyboard and mouse receivers. You may be mixing them up if you've moved them around. Does it beep when you scan? Obviously, if you got a bad barcode label like this with a space in the middle, it will not scan. But if you hear it beep, then at least you know it's getting power. Did you try pressing the trigger button? Sometimes these scanners are auto scan, but sometimes not. You have to press the button. Did you try your scanner on another computer? Maybe you're having trouble with a USB port or something on that computer. Move it over to another computer. You really don't have to install any drivers or anything. These things work just like keyboards. Ought to be able to move it to another computer and try it there. And did you try another scanner? If you're having trouble with one, grab a different one, maybe a different manufacturer on your label to see if it'll scan. Lastly, you should try scanning into a word processor, MS Word or Excel or Notepad, Google Docs, something like that. Obviously, the point of this is to scan into the standard time program here, into the scan barcodes page, which is really just a text field. If you cannot scan into Microsoft Word, then you definitely won't be able to scan into standard time, because barcode scanners act exactly like a keyboard, and you should be able to scan a label into a Word document, and that's really the first place to start if you're having trouble. So there you have it. There's kind of an outline of troubleshooting labels and scanners. Hopefully this helps a little bit as you're trying to scan into the standard time program. So take a look at these and see if they give you any help. Good luck!